Hello, welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm here with Marissa with her movie Finding Shelter. Let's take a look at the clip.
Es difícil pasar por eso, todo eso. Uno cree que es fácil, que decir, oh, hoy en día, mañana voy a estar allá. No, no es fácil.
Have you seen many children alone, unaccompanied, riding these trains?
Well, there's been a surge in the past few years. They ride by themselves. I mean, those that you see that make it to the U.S. live through hell.
Marissa, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for bringing your documentary. It was so amazingly powerful. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
So the film shares the story of Central American children by themselves coming to the United States and seeking refuge. Mm-hmm. And I made a play about this 3 years ago. We made the play into a documentary, and one of the girls whose story is in Shelter the play narrates the documentary Finding Shelter.
I mean, from the first opening scene, you're just, taken in by her story. And so powerful, and it's so hard because, particularly during this time, we're really much more aware than we should have always been, to be honest with you. But it was a hard watch, particularly coming from a true story, an example of many people that are going through this. It may sound like an easy question, but where did the inspiration come for you in saying, I want to make a film about this?
Well, it's now nearly 6 years ago that I read an article in the LA Times about the kids seeking asylum in the United States. This was before the big wave of the summer of 2014. And there were two women quoted in the article. Dr. Susan Terrio from Georgetown University was one. And I reached out to both of them that day, and I heard back from them. And it was a Sunday, and I thought, oh, this is a sign. I need to tell this story. So I went to my team at CalArts Center for New Performance, and I told them I'd like to do a story about this. We have, at CalArts where I teach, we have a program, a year-long theater program at a East LA high school in Glassell Park, the Sotomayor High School for Science and Art. And they have recent arrivals, kids there, 14 years old, who had just come. So I interviewed them, 7, 8 of them. I did a lot of research. I went to a shelter in San Diego to do research. I did a lot of interviews of people, of the kids themselves. And one young girl in particular I really connected with. We're still in contact. I texted her just before the screening yesterday, and she was very moved that her story continues to be told. It's very meaningful for her. And something that was very important for me in the doing of the play, and then also that she says in the documentary, is that when she saw herself represented, her story represented, she says that she realized the magnitude of what she'd been through, and she thought, wow, I can't get bad grades now. And it's really served to motivate her, and she is now going to college to be an engineer.
She's doing it.
She's my hero.
No, I mean, it's very difficult also taking this amazing play, which was captured so wonderfully on film. It was so amazing to watch, because I felt like I was actually watching live theater, watching a screen. It was really that powerful. And, these incredible young people telling stories of people that have existed, gone through, went through themselves. What was it like actually filming that? I mean, I was just blown away by this amazing talent as well.
Well, in terms of everyone who worked on the project, our lives were changed by this, because the kids that I interviewed, whose stories we tell in the play Shelter, they were involved in every step of the process, every workshop, every reading, which was a 2-year process. And we performed it in Lincoln Park and at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
For policymakers, right?
Yeah.
So that was really very important to all of us. In terms of the shooting of it, I had a wonderful director of photography, Solomon Turner.
Yeah.
And he was alongside me in all our process along the way. I mean, he did just a beautiful job capturing the play, and then also our panels, the interviews of the kids, all of that.
And how, I mean, you had them in the play, you had the story of this, you know, a wonderful protagonist, you know, subject of the film, and then you also got these incredible interviews as well. So moving to hear from all these different perspectives, and also really understanding about where we really have been going wrong as well as society, and also the kind of perception of what the information we're actually given, and then what is actually really happening. Was that for you as a filmmaker also, as well as putting these interviews together, difficult, but also discovering as well these, you know, as a society, what's happening and where we are going wrong in this area?
Yes, I mean, I learned so much, and all of us working on this project, it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially talking to a lot of the, for example, advocates for immigrant rights, the lawyers who are daily receiving news about changing laws, right? I mean, honestly, when we made the play 3 years ago, we were concerned about these recent arrivals and their treatment. I did not see at all coming that dreamers would have their promises taken away from them, and that children would be ripped from the arms of their parents, and sometimes for months, sometimes as young as 4 months old. I was just, there was a New York Times article about a 4-month-old who spent 5 months apart from his mother. You know, I mean, it's just horrific. And it does seem to, I'm also preparing myself that, it could get even worse. And so I'm very interested in those of us who are humanizing the immigrant experience, who are setting the record straight. I mean, there really is not a person in the United States today who is not daily served by the labor of recent arrivals of immigrants. And it's not possible.
It's not possible, and it's also ignorant if we don't believe it as well.
That's right. It's disingenuous to say, build the wall, cut these people off. This is not our problem.
But it's also wrong, you know.
It's also wrong.
You know, what I loved as well. These are young people, okay, great young people, all with dreams and want to get through life and find their place in life. And you know, so often we're just hearing from, you know, people that aren't actually involved in these lives. This was actually coming from the source, and they articulated it through this play so eloquently. It was a hard watch, but a reality check, and it was such a powerful thing to watch it in the theater last night and feel the reaction of the people. I felt emotion and tears around me, because what you found 6 years ago is probably even more, we're more aware of today than we ever have been, but yet we're still so far away from working through this. And did you kind of realize from 6 years ago to where you are today that this is actually becoming more of a topical subject, which it should have been for many years, than it ever has been?
And that's partly what I learned. The more I am with the subject, the more I realize, wow, this is more and more pertinent. We need to speak about this more and more. We need to do something about these laws that, as you just said, they're dishonest. You know, we do need this labor. The country, you don't have childcare in this country. The food on our table, the hotels, restaurants, even in medicine, I mean, in so many ways. This community is serving us, and we are doing something that, in my view, is criminal.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I'm glad that you shone some light on this, and through that you shone light on this wonderful play that exists. That I wish that it could just tour the world, and you know, particularly tour the United States as well. When you were filming and discovering, hearing these stories, I always wonder, like, when it's something so emotional and this so personal, how do you feel as a filmmaker going through this? And do you have any kind of, I don't know, techniques of how you kind of coach people to kind of, you know, deliver their message, you know, as best way as possible for their audiences?
Wow, that's a really great question. I think I really encourage people, well, first of all, to feel what they feel, and let's find a way to include that. But yes, we do need to tell the story. So we can't get to the point where our emotions get in the way of that. And our company, it was interesting because it wasn't something we realized when we first cast the show, but we did do an event where someone in the audience asked how many of you are either immigrants yourselves or the children of immigrants, and all of us raised our hands.
Right. Well, that's
so
the
we
truth.
realized
This country was built on that, wasn't it? So,
yes, and also, you know, as young people, the furthest our cast had family in this country were grandparents, right? So we're talking about I'm first generation, and most of the people in the cast were either immigrants themselves, first generation, or second generation. So that was very interesting for us. This was very personal, being able to share the stories. I mean, it's a great honor to tell the stories of these young people, many of whom are just also reconnecting with their family. One young man I interviewed hadn't seen his mother since he was 2 years old. Wow. Because she's been in this country working. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Serving, I mean, paying taxes.
You know, exactly. You know, and there's only borders that separate us from being a one world, essentially. You know, it's really all that it is. And I just love that you just, you know, what was so special about these young people who, you know, either immigrants themselves or parents were, you know, immigrated to this country. You know, they're our next generation, and they're all amazing humans that have got dreams just like everybody else and want to do the most wondrous things with their lives. And, you know, and why are we stopping that? You know what I mean? It's a sad understanding. I think that, you know, I just think that the guidance, it's all about having good guidance around you. And when people are being torn apart, it's very difficult. And I think that showed really well, you know, on camera. What was kind of the most difficult thing you faced in making the film?
Right away, this came to me. The most difficult moment came the first day the kids came to see the very first workshop of the play. Yeah. I've never been more nervous in my life because I thought, what if they don't like it? What if they feel like they're not being properly represented, you know? So that was the most difficult part of the play. I think when I had my first cut, or it was maybe actually by then maybe the second cut, and I showed it to wonderful documentary filmmaker Lynn Goldfarb, and she really like tore it apart, and that was difficult. That was very difficult. I learned the lesson of not taking notes like that in the evening because I did not sleep that night. But she was absolutely right, and I'm very grateful to her. She told me exactly, you know, what was wrong, and I realized that the storytelling was weak. And I said, I mean, the whole night I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just thought, I'm going to start again. Yeah. I'm going to start again and rethink this. And that's when I have the shot. I decided on the narration for the young woman who is the narrator of the film, and to shoot her from behind, so I protect her image as she's walking forward in her life. And 3 times in the film, the film is basically anchored, beginning, middle, and end, with her walking and speaking, narrating, and that really helped me. That meeting with Lynn and knowing, like, there's a better way, and this story deserves
it really
a better way of being told.
But I think that's also a great thing as a filmmaker, because sometimes, you know, it's a very rare thing that on a first draft or something that we're going to just go and put it out there, and how important it is to collaborate and share and gather ideas and learn and create and recreate and the whole thing. Absolutely. And then you get to the result, which is what we all saw last night. As a documentary filmmaker, I always feel that, you know, there's a message you want to deliver the same way for your play, but obviously, clearly from your play, you're displaying these amazing lives, you know, through your live performance. What did you want your audience to take from your documentary film?
It was very important for me to share information and humanize the immigrant experience for people who don't know it, right? But along the way, it's been very important for me. I've learned how hungry both people who have been through something like this and people who are advocating for them need to see these stories reflected.
Yeah.
I found it from screenings that this is a healing thing.
Yeah.
People will come up to me afterwards and say, "Oh, I've been working with immigrants, and it just helped me so much to see this reflected."
Yeah.
And it's different than and I love articles and I love the press, and it's very important, the work that the press is doing. But what we can do as storytellers in the arts is something else.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different way in which we touch people. It's very direct.
I think as well, one thing for these particularly, young immigrants as well, is that a lot of people may not have had the role models or their parents even around because of all these different things that are going on, and you really showcase just how much support works, theater support, creativeness, all these different things. And I think that to see that shine in a play with these young people through film. And let's speak about last night. So, New Filmmakers in partnership with the Academy, home with the Academy Awards. What was that experience having your documentary there?
It was a dream come true. It was extremely moving for me. I felt like I carried alongside me and was imagining with me the young woman who narrates the film. And if the world were a better place, she would have been with me.
Yeah.
Of course, we continue to protect her identity, although she's going to college and doing well, and does have her status, which, by the way, the same young woman today would not be able to get through because of the new laws and just how restrictive it's become. And she was fleeing her life for her life, so she was going to be murdered for refusing to join a gang in El Salvador. So, she, thank goodness, she was able to make it and get her status here.
I think that's the message that you put. I just want to mention what you said, because I think people don't seem to understand. This is, for a lot of people, this is a life and death situation, and it frustrates me that people don't see that. And wouldn't you, if you were in that situation, want to do everything in your power to have a better life for you and your family? And I think that those messages that those young people and what some of them went through was so extremely tough. And I just want this to magnify many audiences to see your film. But last night, I felt that last night with you. I'm sure you felt that too.
Yes, I did. And the history is there as well. Many of these children fleeing are the grandchildren of those who fled Central American violence in the 80s, of which the United States had a large part in propping up these rightist dictatorships.
Right.
So the cycle of violence is going on for generations, and we just can't ignore it.
It's inhumane.
But I do want to say that I have been so grateful for the festival, New Filmmakers LA. I mean, we were treated so well, and just to get back to what you had asked, I mean, it was an incredible experience meeting the industry professionals that I was able to meet, who were all really kind, very generous with their time, with their advice, and the other filmmakers are just, those of us who are LA-based are planning to create a little support circle and get together, and I mean, it's just thrilling.
Well, we can't do it without you, so we appreciate you making films, so keep making them. What's next for you, Marissa?
I am working on something I'm calling a Cuban documentary.
Ooh.
Which I've been traveling to Cuba since 1993. And it's reflections on Cuba as a Cuban American. I am the daughter of a Cuban revolutionary. My father co-wrote the 1957 manifesto of the revolution with Fidel Castro and Felipe Pasos.
Oh my goodness.
And my mother was runner-up Miss Cuba.
Oh yeah, okay,
So
there
I have
we go.
and I have other figures in my family who were very significant in Cuban politics. And then, of course, just my own personal
And
story
then you was a
of
great
going
filmmaker,
there.
so it just goes
so
on.
I'm just going to take all of this material. I have great archival footage. I have family footage, and then I have my own. I was able to present work for the first time in Cuba 2 years ago, which was a very moving, life-changing experience. So I'm going to do my Cuban documentary.
Oh, I love that. Well, please make it so we can see it, because we want to see that one too. No, honestly, I'm so grateful when someone can make a film that, you know, can educate, enhance lives, help us all grow closer together, unite us, and have more understanding of each other. I think I'm so grateful when people make films like that. So, Marissa, just thank you very much for this beautiful film.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to seeing much more of your work, so thank you very much. Marissa, everybody, thank you.